Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where a cheater completely destroys her own life. Am I the butthole for refusing to take the blame if my cheating ex's life is ruined? I still don't understand how all this mess is my fault, but okay. So I was with my ex, Pam, for 3 years. To cut it short, after her promotion 8 months ago, she changed a lot. And when I say she changed, I mean that she started to act like I was inferior to her only because she was making a few thousand more than me. Skip forward to 2 months ago, and I found out that she was cheating on me with her married boss. Obviously, I broke up with her on the spot and informed our friends of the real reason that we broke up, her infidelity. I thought the story ended there because I broke up with her, told our friends why so she couldn't spin the story, and that's it. But unfortunately, the story didn't finish there because we all know that people love drama, so voices started going around about Pam cheating with her boss. And apparently, those voices arrived to Pam's boss's wife. And in fact, 5 days after our breakup, the wife texted me asking me if it was true that Pam was having an affair with her husband. And I told her it was true. I didn't hear from the wife anymore. Again, to make it short, Pam's boss was fired because of the company's policy against sexual intercourse between subordinates and superiors. And Pam wasn't fired, but she got demoted and her promotion went to another person. And for other reasons that I don't understand. When all this mess came out to Pam, her parents and a few shared friends said that I'm the bad guy here. When literally I did nothing to cause all of this if not telling my friends about Pam's infidelity. So skip forward to now after almost 2 months, and I keep being blamed for Pam's life becoming awful because apparently she had to quit her job since obviously her coworkers weren't that much thrilled with her about the cheating scandal, and were basically ignoring her and were making the kind of comments you can imagine. So here I'm like, am I the butthole here? Because all the blame shifting is messing with my head, and I can't understand how I'm the bad guy when all I did was being honest. You know, one of the interesting things about rSlash Am I the Butthole is it's a very self-selecting subreddit because typically douchebags, bad people, a-holes, they don't stop to think, wait a second, am I being bad here? I need to stop and reevaluate my life and change the direction that I'm currently going. And I think this is a good example because the bad people are just blaming other people, and the one good person, the victim in this story, is like, wait, am I the bad guy? Because that's what good people do. So OP, don't let them drag you down. You're completely innocent here. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your cheating ex 3 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not completely changing my kid's life just to accommodate her father? I'm a 35-year-old woman, and I was with my ex, Tom, who's 40, for a few years before having our daughter, who's now 10. When our daughter was a few weeks old, my husband moved out of our place and into the other place of some girl and has since rarely been involved. I finally put him on child support a few years ago, and you'd think he was Father of the Year for paying $300 a month. He never really had custody. I never kept her from him, but I wasn't going to chase him around trying to force him to be involved. Last year, he remarried Peggy, who's 45, and is now asking for more custody. Obviously, I talked to my daughter's therapist and agreed to every other weekend for now. I'm not forcing my kid to change her life just because Tom now wants to play family. The problem is that Tom and Peggy's house is just miserable for my daughter. I'm trying to keep her positive about it, but honestly, they're just not the kind of people or behaviors that she's used to. They yell a lot, they don't care about hygiene or keeping a clean house. It's nothing CPS would do anything about, but it doesn't meet normal standards, much less mine. Also, my daughter hates Peggy's kids. There are 5, but 2 are older and on their own. But she has a son who's 17, a daughter who's 12, and a son my daughter's age. And they're basically feral. Just no supervision over there, always on their phones, no structure. Oh, and Peggy is an anti-vaxxer, so there's that whole situation. My daughter plays soccer, and they were 45 minutes late to the game last weekend, and I didn't think that it was that big of a deal. Peggy was texting me freaking out that she'd be late, and when I called Tom, he screamed at me for calling. Tom and Peggy also live out in the boonies. It's about a 25 to 30 minute drive from my house to theirs. I told him when he started coming around that I had no intention of driving for hours or changing any aspect of our lives to accommodate him, and he promised it wouldn't be a problem. Now, here we are, and he's saying we need to set up a meeting point or switch off handovers. I'm already pissed that my daughter needs to be in a car for so long just because Peggy needs to have a lot of property. I told him no way. He was the one that chose to live so far from us, so he can do the driving. Finally, his most outrageous request has been to take my kid out of her school. My daughter got into our district's competitive magnet school. It's not easy, and we both worked hard for it. I had to fill out tons of forms. She got in on her own merits. Tom says that his stepkids, which he's apparently adopting by the way, are jealous of what my daughter gets to do at school, and he wants to enroll her in their public school. Not happening. My daughter has male role models, ones who actually care about her well-being and not just social media clout. Tom says he'll go to court, but I'll believe that when I see it. He has no gumption, and honestly, I doubt a judge would side with him anyways. I've always had full custody. I've never kept her from him, but I need to stick up for my kid. Does that make me the butthole? A lot of this story was pretty typical, oh look, an annoying ex continues to be an annoying ex. But taking the kid out of the nice school to just drag the kid down to the level of his feral other kids is awful behavior. It's intentionally failing his daughter just because his other kids are also failures. It sounds like I'm being really harsh on the kids here. That's not my intention. Obviously, the parents aren't doing a good job parenting and giving proper structure. So it's wrong of the ex to punish the child just because they can't be good parents, is the better way to put that. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. If anything, you've been overly generous here. An argument could be made that you are being the butthole by allowing her to be exposed to these terrible living conditions, but I'm not going to go there personally. Still, I'm giving OP's ex 3.5 out of 5 buttholes for the abandonment and just general douchebaggery. Am I the butthole for planning international travel without my children? I have 2 kids who are now 14 and 16. I've had 50-50 custody since I got divorced, up until a few months ago. 4 years ago, my ex-wife got remarried, and her husband advised her to start a custody dispute. I spent $165,000, basically my life savings, fighting for 4 years. For the record, my ex-wife's father is wealthy and paid all of her legal fees. The older child told the court-appointed attorney, "I want to live with my mom and only see my dad every other weekend." The younger one just said they wanted to do 50-50. The younger one then changed their mind and said, "Oh, maybe 70-30 with mom. I just want this court stuff to be over." I went to trial. My attorney fought like hell, but the judge said, given the children's age, their preference will take precedence and we won't split them up, as if breaking their sibling bond. Well, my new wife and I have been planning some travel with some of her friends, her sister and their husbands. It includes 9 days in Spain and France. They picked the dates. We got tickets. The kids found out about it and have been asking me, "We want to go. Why can't we go?" I told my children, this is something we planned, we saved for. They asked if it was an adults-only trip. I told them it wasn't, and their 15-year-old cousin was coming. They said that it wasn't fair that we couldn't take them, as they know that we could afford it, and that it would be their only chance to travel internationally. I told them, you're young adults now. You chose to spend the majority of your time with your mother, and you got what you wanted. But choices have consequences. One of them is that you don't get to join me on things like this. They're both very upset. My younger one said, "You're just mad that we have more fun at mom's house." I'm afraid I'm being the butthole here. I'm happy to be wrong, but my gut tells me that what I'm doing is fair. So, OP, you really don't seem to understand the core problem here. You're asking, is it okay to travel internationally without kids? And the answer to that question obviously is yes. It's totally fine for parents to take vacation on their own. My wife and I just did it recently. Me and her went to Japan together. But the problem is, you're using this travel as a punishment very, very clearly. So you're unhappy that your kids like your mom more than you, and so you're, sticking it to them. And that part of the equation sucks. You're being vindictive to teenagers. It's clear you don't even want them to come because you said that your ex's new family is super wealthy, so if money was an issue, they could have easily paid for it on their own, theoretically. But instead you tried to sneak out of the country without them knowing, it sounds like. And well, what can I say? Not my problem. We planned for this, but you didn't plan for it. So OP, you're coming off as pretty douchey here. Even the title, the fact that you're trying to mislead people by putting in a softer question. OP, I'm giving you 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for moving back home after my husband left me, even though I'm pregnant? I've been getting cruel messages from my ex, his family, and our friends for the past few days. So my soon-to-be ex-husband, Levi, who's 33, and I, a 28-year-old woman, have been together for a decade, married for 5 years. I'm currently pregnant with our first baby and due next month. After I graduated, I moved back to his hometown, a major city on the West Coast with him. I'm from a bigger city in the Midwest, but I loved living out there. I thought that we were happy. We planned our baby and were so excited. But a few weeks ago, he told me he was going to file for divorce. He said he didn't want to be tied down anymore. He was still young and needed to live his life, etc. He said there was no one else, but I know that's a lie since he has been seeing someone. He wanted me to move out, but this is my house too. I put down the down payment even. So he's been staying with his friend, Lewis. I can't afford to live here on my own while maintaining my lifestyle. Sure, I could make it work, but it wouldn't be the kind of lifestyle I'd want to live, especially with a baby. I make really good money even so, but it's so expensive. I have friends for sure, but not the support system he does. No family here. So I've decided to move back home, and luckily, my company has a location in my hometown, so I was able to keep my job. My parents have been so supportive. They're divorced and hate one another, but are now combined in their hatred of Levi, which is interesting to see. They've secured me a nice rental home in my old city and refuse to let me pay them back, saying I need to save to buy my next house. They're paying for my divorce lawyer and my co-pays at my new doctor here. They said that I'm doing the right thing for my baby, and they're happy to help. My mom is about to retire and even wants to watch my baby while I work after my maternity leave. So it's been an ideal situation for me. Levi is furious. He's claiming that I moved to get back at him, and I'm going to try to keep him out of our baby's life. I explained very clearly that I couldn't afford to be a single mom in San Diego, but he doesn't believe me. He's told everyone I moved back to get the upper hand on custody. That's not why I moved, but it's definitely a plus. His job doesn't have any locations here, and they won't keep him if he moves. He could get another job here, of course, but he says that's too much to ask of him. I told him I'd be going for child support once the baby's born, and he told me I needed to make up my mind. Could he be a dad or not? I told him he was going to be a dad regardless, and if he doesn't want to move here, then he would be a dad by paying child support. I don't think that I'm the butthole. I think I'm doing what I have to do, but I don't know what I'm supposed to say to all these people texting and calling me and telling me that I'm keeping Levi's baby from him. Yo, keeping his baby? All he has to do is get in a car and drive to OP. Also, a really important detail that some people may not know about is once you have a child and you're split up and there's split custody, some states literally won't let you leave the state unless you get permission from the other parent. So I don't know if that's the case in California, but if OP actually stuck around in California and gave birth there, she might be stuck, literally shackled to the state, unable to leave with the child unless the father allowed her to. So moving now, while she still has the chance, was a very wise decision on her part. It's so, and then on top of that, there's just the whole, why should we care about the opinions and thoughts and beliefs of some guy who divorces his pregnant wife to be with his mistress, which is depressing. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your ex 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Would I be the butthole if I broke up with my girlfriend after she took a kink too far? I'm an 18-year-old guy and my girlfriend is 23. She's always talked about how she has a breeding kink. We both had no STDs, and she told me that she was on birth control, so I agreed to do it without a condom. However, it turns out that she lied to me about the pill and is now pregnant and insists on keeping it. I'm only 18 and I don't want a child. I have a couple of months left at high school, but I want to go to university after. I can't do that and look after a frickin' child. I feel inclined to look after it, seeing as it's half mine, but I don't want to give up my dreams for it. What should I do? She's already finished university and has a stable teaching job. We've been together for just over a year now, and I really enjoy being with her, but I don't want to sacrifice everything. Especially if she's willing to violate my trust like that, what else is she willing to do? Well, I feel like the critical piece of missing information here is if she intentionally got pregnant or if it was an accident. I assume from the tone of the post that it was intentional. And if it was intentional, then yeah, this is not really a kink issue. This is just a baby trap, which is awful behavior. Also, a lot of people are urging OP to get a paternity test, which is definitely wise in this situation. It's not typical behavior for a 22-year-old college graduate woman to be super interested in a high school boy, so it's very possible that OP is being set up to take the fall effectively. Also, if it's relevant, a lot of people are talking about the age gap. OP clarifies that he's in New Zealand, where 16 is the age of consent, so the age gap is legal. So, okay, I mean, it's legal, but just because it's legal doesn't mean it's okay. This comment from Lintlicker caught me off guard. Tell her you have an abortion kink. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.